Today's podcast will be called The Lesser Key of Solomon and is written by King Solomon and translated by S.L. McGregor Mathers and Alistair Crowley. The Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as Solomon's Regis or Lamageddon, is an anonymous grimoire on demonology. It was compiled in the mid-17th century, mostly from materials a couple of centuries older. This booklet contains almost 200 diagrams and seals for invocation and convocation of spirits, necromancy, witchcraft, and black art, translated from ancient manuscripts in the British Museum of London, and supposedly written by King Solomon. This is the preface. The translation of the first book of the Lamageddon, which is now for the first time made accessible to students of talismanic magic, was done after careful collation and addition from numerous ancient manuscripts in Hebrew, Latin, and French by G.H. France DDCF by the order of the secret chief of the Rosicrucian order. The G.H. Fra have succumbed unhappily to the assaults of the four great princes, acting notably under martial influences. It seemed expedient that the work should be brought to its conclusion by another hand. The investigation of a competent scrivener into the house of our unhappy Fra confirmed this divination. Neither our fraternity nor his hermetic will were seen then or there, but only the terrible shape of the evil, whose original bodies, having been sequestered by justice, were no longer of use to them. And on this we stayed no longer our hand, but withdrawing ourselves and consulting the Rota and the books R.M. and Q, did decide to ask Mr. Alistair Crowley, a poet and skilled student of magic lore and an expert Kabbalist, to completely, openly, and open, which had been done in secret. This is that which is written. His bishopric let another take, and again, Acuri Tetragrammaton. This is also that which is said, Namen secundum referter ad Gaba, qui est rex buta, atet caripto, achugon, patris et matris hac adignita. And so saying, we wish you well. The first preliminary invocation. Okay, thee I invoke, the boneless one, thee that didst create the earth and the heavens, thee that didst create the night and the day, thee that didst create the darkness and the light. Thou art Asaranaparis, whom no man has seen at any time. Thou art Jehovah's, thou art Jopos, thou art distinguished between the just and the unjust. And thou didst make the female and the male, and thou did produce the seed and the fruit. Thou didst form men to love one another and to hate one another. I am Moshe, the taught your prophet, unto whom thou didst commit thy mysteries, the ceremonies of Israel. Thou didst produce the moist and the dry, that which nurse all created life. Hear thou me, for I am the angel of Paratos, a sonoprophets. This is thy true name, handed down to the prophets of Israel. Hear me. Art thou Rabet Atilaber Seth Ablata Abu Ebu Fi. Theptos eat, Dio. Hear me, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God may be obedient unto me. I invoke thee, the terrible, the invisible God, who dwelleth in the void place of the Spirit. Ara gora gora bora bra salta modi dorio falatao do o ape, the bonus one. Hear me, etc. Hear me. Rabriado Mariadom Balnabat Asalanai Afnayo I thou sep aprasa Io is sure, mighty and bonus one. Hear me, etc. I invoke thee, Ma Barao Joel Kata Atarabalo Abrao. Hear me, etc. Hear me. I'll Abao Sam Asak Sabao Io. This is the Lord of the gods. This is the Lord of the universe. This is whom who win fear. This is he who, having made voice by his commandment, is Lord of all things, King, ruler, and helper. Hear me, etc. Hear me. Io per io per iot the io au abrasa sabraim do adane edadu angelos tontiam aniaya dia kia ape dia dana Torah. I am here, he, the boneless spirit, having sight in the feet, strong in the immortal fire. I am he, the truth. I am he who hate that evil should be wrought in the world. I am he that lightens and thundereth. I am he from whom is the shower of life of earth. I am he whose mouth ever flameth. I am he, the begetter and the manifester unto the light. I am he, the grace of the world. The heart girt with a serpent is my name. Come thou forth and follow me, and make all spirits subject to me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether upon the earth and upon the earth, on dry land and on the water of the whirling air of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God be obedient unto me. And that brings the ending of the first invocation, preliminary invocation. This chapter is called The Initiated Interpretation of the Ceremonial Magic. It is loftily amusing to the student of magical literature who is not quite a fool and rare. It's such a combination to note the criticism directed by the Philistine against the citadel of his science. Truly, since our childhood was ingrained into us not only literal belief in the Bible, but also substantial belief in the Alpha Wala, and only adolescence can cure us. We are only too liable in the rush and energy of drawn manhood to overturn roughly and rashly both those classics, to regard them both on the same level as interesting documents from the standpoint of folklore and anthropology, and nothing more. Even when we learn that the Bible, by a profound and minute study of the text, may be forced to yield up Kabbalistic arcana of cosmic scope and importance, we are often slow to apply to similar restorative to the companion volume, even if we are the lucky holders of Burton's veritable edition. To me, then, it remains to raise the Alf-La-Ya Wa-La-La into its proper place once more. I'm not concerned to deny the objectivity, reality of all magical phenomena. If there are illusions, they are at least as real as many questions or unquestioned facts of daily life. And if we follow Herbert Spencer, they are at least evidence of some cause. And this, incidentally, is perhaps the greatest argument we possess, pushed to its extreme against the Adventist theories. No, this fact is our base. What is the cause of our illusion of seeing a spirit in the triangle of art? Every smarterer, every expert in psychology will answer that causes lie in our brain. English children are taught that the universe lies in infinite space. Hindu children in the Akasa, which is the same thing. So those Europeans who go a little deeper learn from Fichte that the phenomenal universe is the creation of the ego. Hindus or Europeans studying under Hindu gurus are told that Akasa is meant the Chitakasa. The Chitakasa is situated in the third eye in the brain, and by assuming higher dimensions of space, we can assimilate the fact to realism, but we have no need to take so much trouble. This being true to the ordinary universe, that all sense impressions are dependent on changes in the brain. Thought is a secretion of the brain. Consciousness is a function of the brain. Magical phenomena, however, come under a special subclass. Since they are willed, their cause is the series of real phenomena called the operations of ceremonial magic. This consists of sight, the circle, square, triangle, vessels, lamps, robes, implements, etc. Sound, the invocations, and smell, the perfumes, and taste, the sacraments, and touch, as under, and mind. The combination of all these and reflections on their significance, these unusual impressions produce unusual brain changes. Hence, their summary is of unusual kind. Its projection back into the apparently phenomenal world is therefore unusual. Herein, then consists the reality of the operations and effects of the ceremonial magic. And I conceive that the apology is ample as far as the effects refer only to those phenomena which appear to the magician himself, the appearance of the spirit, his conversation, possible shocks from imprudence, and so on, even to ecstasy on the one hand and death or madness on the other. But can any of the effects described in our book, Goethe, be obtained? And if so, can you be or have a rational explanation of the circumstances? What say you so? I can and will. The spirits of the Goethe are portions of the human brain. Their seals therefore represent Mr. Spencer's projected cube methods of simulating or regulating those particular spots through the eye. The names of God are vibrations called and calculated to establish. A. General control of the brain, establishment of functions relative to the subtle world, control over the brain in detail, rank or type of the spirit, control of one special portion, name of the spirit. The perfumes aid as through smell. Usually the perfume will only tend to control a large area, but there is an attribution of perfumes to letters of the alphabet, enabling one by a Kabbalistic formula to spell out the spirit's name. I need not enter into a more particular discussion of these points. The intelligent reader can also fill in what is lacking. If then I say with Solomon, the spirit similes teaches logic. What I mean is, this portion of my brain, which serves the logical facility, may be stimulated and developed by following out the processes called the invocation of similes. And this is a purely materialistic, rational statement. It is independent of my objective hierarchy at all. Philosophically has nothing to say, and science can only suspend judgment, pending a proper and methodical investigation of the facts alleged. Unfortunately, we cannot stop there. Solomon promises us that we can 1. Obtain information, 2. Destroy our enemies, 3. Understand the voice of nature, and 4. Obtain treasure, and 5. Heal diseases, etc. I have taken these 5 powers at random. Considerations of space forbid me to explain all. Brings up facts from subconsciousness. 2. Here we come to an interesting fact. It is curious to note that the contrast between the noble means and the apparently vile ends of the magical rituals. The latter are disguises for the sublime truth. To destroy our enemies is to realize the illusion of duality, to excite compassion. Ah, Mr. Wade, the world of magic is a mirror wherein who sees muck is muck. A careful naturalist will understand some of the voices of the animals he has studied long. Even a child knows the difference of a cat's meowing and purring, and the faculty may be greatly developed. Business capacity may be stimulated. Abnormal states of the body may be corrected, and the involved tissue brought back to tone in obedience to currents started from the brain. So for all other phenomena, there is no effect which is truly and necessarily miraculous. Our ceremonial magic finds down then to series of minutes, though of course empirical philosophical experiments and whoso will carry them through intelligently need not fear the result. I have all the health and treasure and logic I need. I have no time to waste. There is a lion in the way. For me, these practices are useless, but for the benefit of others, unless fortunate, I give them to the world, together with the explanation of an apology for them. I trust that the explanation will enable many students who have hitherto, by a puerile objectivity in their view of the question, obtained no results, to succeed. But the apology may impress upon our scornful men of science that the study of the bacillus should give place to that of the bacillum, the little to the great. How great one only realizes when one identifies the wand with the Mahiligan, of which Brahma flew at the rate of 84,000 yojans a second for 84,000 Mahakapas, down from Vishnu flew at the gate of 84,000 crocks of yojanas a second for 84 crores of Mahakapalya. Never teach an end, but I wish I reach an end. Baleskine House, 4 years in B. This section is called Preliminary Definition of Magic by King Solomon, Lamagatan vel Clavicula Salomonis Regis. Magic is the highest, most absolute, and most divine knowledge of natural psychology. Philosophy. Advanced in its works and wonderful operations by a tight understanding of the inward and occult virtue of things, so that true agents, being applied to proper patience, strange and admirable effects will thereby be produced. Now, when he said the word agents, he means, or actives. And when he said the words patience, he meant passives. Whence magicians are profound and diligent searchers into nature. They, because of their skill, know how to anticipate an effort, to which to the vulgar should seem to be a miracle. Origen said that the magical art does not contain anything subsisting, but although it should, yet that it must not be evil, or subject to contempt or scorn, and thus distinguish the natural magic from that which is diabolical. Apollonius Tyanius only exercised the natural magic, and by which he did perform wonderful things. Philo Hebreus says that true magic, by which we do arrive at the understanding of the secret works of nature, is so far from being contemptible that the greatest monarchs and kings have studied it. Nay, among the Persians, none might reign unless he is skillful in the great art, and the noble science often degenerateth from natural becometh diabolical, and from the true philosophy turneth into negromancy, the which is wholly to be charged upon all followers who abuse, or not being capable of that of the high and mystical knowledge, do immediately hearken into the temptations of Satan, and are misled by him into the study of the black art. Hence it is that magic lies under disgrace, and they who seek after it is vulgarly esteemed sorcerers. The fraternity of the Rosicrucians thought it not fit to style themselves magicians, but rather philosophers, and they not be ignorant empirics, but learned and experienced physicians, whose remedies be not only lawful but divine. Now, this part is called the brief introductory description, and it says NB. This is taken from several MS codices, of which the four principal variations are here composed together in parallel columns. It is an example of the close agreement of the various texts of the Lamagedon. For in the whole work, the difference in the wording of the various codices are not significant or sufficient to require the constant giving of parallel readings, but except in the more ancient examples, there is more deterioration in the seals and sigils, so that in this latter respect, the more recent exemplars are not entirely reliable. Clavicula Salomonus Regis, which contained all the names, offices, and orders of all the spirits that ever he have conversed with the seals and characters to each spirit, and the manner of calling them forth to visible appearance. In part 5, viz., the first part is a book of evil spirits called Goetia, showing how he bound up those spirits and used them in general things whereby he obtained great fame. The second part is a book of spirits, partly evil and partly good, which he names Thuragaya Gesha, all aerial spirits, etc. Now the third part is of spirits concerning planetary hours and what spirits belong to every degree of the signs and planets in the signs, called the Pauline art, etc. And the fourth part of this book is called Al-Madel, or Solomon, which contains those spirits which govern the four altitudes, or the 360 degrees of the zodiac. These two last orders of spirits are good and to be sought for by divine seeking, etc., and are called Thurigia. The fifth part is a book of orations and prayers that wise Solomon used upon the altar at the temple, the which is called Arsnavah, which is revealed unto Solomon by that holy angel of God called Michael. And he also received many brief notes written from the finger of God, which were declared to him by said angel with claps of thunder, wherein which notes King Solomon had never obtained his great knowledge, for by then in a short time he knew all arts and sciences, both good and bad. From these notes it is called the notary art. This section is called the whole Armageddon or Clavicula. Now this book contained all of the names, orders, and offices of all the spirits with which Solomon ever conversed, and the seals and characters belong to each spirit, and the manner of calling them forth is visible appearance. Divided into 5 special books or parts, viz. The first book or part, which is a book concerning spirits of evil, which is termed the Goetia of Solomon, showeth forth his manner of binding those spirits for use in things divers. And hereby did he require great renown. And the second book is one which treated the spirits mingled of God and evil natures, and which is titled the Thurigageta, or the magical wisdom of the spirits Ariel, whereof some to do abide, but certain to wander that abide not. And the third book is called Ars Paulina, or the art of Pauline, treated of the spirits allotted unto every degree of the 360 degrees of the zodiac, and also of the signs of the planets and the signs as well as the hours. And the fourth book called Ars Almadel Salomonis, or the art Almadel of Solomon, concerning those spirits which he set over the quaternary of the altitudes. These 2 last mentioned books, the Art Pauline and Art Amadel, do relate into good spirits alone, whose knowledge is to be obtained through seeking unto the divine. These 2 books were also classified or classed together under the name of the first and the second parts of the book of the Thurigageta of Solomon. The 5th book of the Armageddon is the one of the prayers and orations, the which Solomon the wise did use upon the altar in the temple, and the titles hereof are Ars Nava, and the new art, and Ars Notara, the notary art, the which was revealed to him by Michael, the holy angel of God, in thunder and in lightning. He forth did receive all of the aforesaid angel certain notes written by the hands of God, without the which that great king had never attained unto his great wisdom. For this he knew all things and all sciences and arts, whether good or evil. And now the next part is called the Clavicula Salomonis Regis, and which contains all the names, offices, and orders of all the spirits whom he ever held any conversation with, and together with the seals and characters proper unto each spirit, and the method of the calling for them forth to visible appearance. In part 5, the first part book is a book of evil spirits called Goetia, showing how he bound up those spirits and used them in things in general and several, whereby be obtained great fame. And the second part is a book of spirits, partly evil and partly good, which are called the Thurigageta, or aerial spirits, etc. And the third art is of spirits concerning the planetary hours, and what spirits do belong to every degree of the signs and the planets of the signs. This is called the Pauline art, etc. The fourth part of the book is called Almadel of Solomon, the which containeth those spirits who do govern the 4 altitudes of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. And the last 2 orders of spirits are good, and they are called Thurigageta, and are to be sought for by divine seeking, etc. The first part is a book of orations and prayers which wise Solomon did use upon the altar in the temple, the which is called Ars Nova, the which was revealed to Solomon by the holy angel of God called Michael. And he also received many brief notes written with the finger of God, which was declared to him by the said angel with claps of thunder, without which notes King Solomon had never obtained the great wisdom. For by them, in short time, he gained knowledge of the arts and sciences, both good and bad. From those notes, it is called the notary art, etc. Now, the book of evil spirits is what this section is called, and the key of Solomon, which contains all the names, orders, and offices of all the spirits that ever Solomon conversed with, together with the seals and characters belonging for each spirit, and the manner of the calling them forth to visible appearance. The first part is a book of evil spirits called Geisha, showing how he bound up those spirits and used them in several things, whereby he obtained great fame. And the second part is a book of spirits, partly good and partly evil, which was named Goya, all aerial spirits, etc. The third part is a book of governing planetary houses, in which spirits belong to every degree of the signs and planets in the science called the Pauline art. The third part is a book of governing the planetary houses and what signs and spirits belong to every degree of the signs and planets in the signs called the Pauline art. Oh, I repeated that. The fourth part is a book called the Aldel of Solomon, which contained 20 chief spirits who govern the 4 altitudes or the 360 degrees of the zodiac. These 2 last orders of spirits are good and are called Theurgoya and are to be sought after for divine seeking. These most sacred mysteries were revealed unto Solomon. Now, in this book, Lamagetian, contains the whole art of the King Solomon. Although there may be many other books that are said to be his, yet none is to be compared hereunto, for this one contains them all. Though there are the titles with several other names of the book, as the book Helision, which is the very same as the last book of Lamagetian called Ars Nova or Ars Notaria, etc. These books were first found in the Chaldee and Hebrew tongues of Jerusalem by a Jewish rabbi, and by him put into the Greek language and this into Latin, as it is said.